I did not realize that Loom sometimes lies, but that's interesting. So what I want to do, I think this will be very efficient. I've taken the original PowerPoint slides, then I took your responses and I spun it one more time. This is essentially an agenda where we can just make quick decisions, right, and agree to action items and then wrap it up. Okay. So the first thing I added was the team. So you understand me and kind of my role in this is going to be kind of strategy. Well, I don't know what my role is. I guess I'm the overall kind of the executive kind of sponsor of this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She does a lot of things for me. And we are making another hire, which is going to put her more in the position of being able to do kind of program and project management as across any number of marketing related initiatives. So assuming we can get this damn thing to work, then you will end up seeing less of me and more of Angela.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to assume that we're not going to interact with anybody other than you. Is that right? Or are there some of your team that we would interact with, like on keyword research and stuff?
Yes. In CC, I already included my service email and my customer service person. Like she's in CC because I'm terrible at email management. So she may end up responding. She also has direct connection to the team who is doing ads. So yeah, it may be that also Michelle will be communicating with you.
How do you spell her name? Michelle?
It's Mitch L.
Okay, I don't know how to spell that, but it's fun.
Okay.
You want to just tell me how to spell it so we get it right?
Me, Mit, Mitchell.
Oh, Mitchell
Yep. And
with one L,
uh, one L and E at the end.
like this.
Yes.
Okay, so Mitchell. So it's a man or a woman?
One.
Woman. Okay, so Michelle, she does basically like client service stuff.
Yes.
So it's possible that we will hear from her, but sometimes it may look like it's coming from you, but it's actually coming from
No,
her.
no. It will be looking like it's from her. Like, but when you ask me, she may respond because she may be faster than me.
Okay. So Angela, do you have any qu comments or questions kind of on the people and what they're doing? Okay. So for housekeeping, what I have in here is money, access, and then I think these things we don't really need to talk about today so much, but I would like to agree to like when is it going to make sense for us to meet again live and on what topic? So for money, I think you were pretty clear in your email. You want 900 up front to set the thing up, then 450 per month for the basic retainer service, which means I assume going in there periodically and optimizing things. And then maybe does that include a monthly, some type of simple monthly report where you say, okay, this is what happened in the month and this is what we think it means? Is that what that includes?
If it's as simple as that, yes, it includes it.
So in terms of paying the 900, like should I just wait and then you will invoice me as you see fit for different things? Or is there anything you want to say today about that?
Yeah, I will invoice you as soon as I'm 100% committed. I just waited for this call.
Okay. And then for the recurring, do you have the ability in your invoicing system to set it up as recurring so that I don't have to pay it every month?
Uh, okay, so you mean that you will authorize it once and every month it will be charged, right?
Right, right. I just don't know whether your billing software allows that. If it
Yeah.
does, that's what I want. If it doesn't, then we can just remember to pay it every month manually.
Okay, so I think I can set up the recurring payment in Stripe.
Okay. Okay, so you will look into this, and then so once you're committed, then you will issue an invoice for part or all of the 900.
For all of it, yes.
Okay, so basically pay the 900 up front.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I can think of two things you need access to. One is the KDP ads account itself, and the other is our box.com environment. So for instance, this folder, I have a folder here called RB and CAM, so Resurrecting Books and CAM 2024. This is the folder that I have in mind. This folder is your original set of keyword research, and then this was the thing I put together, the revised client acquisition hypothesis. This is today's stuff. And so we generally like to create a place in our broader box environment for a vendor in case you need to download things from us or you need to upload things from us. And is this something you're willing to work with?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So there's providing access to you. Should we provide it just to you, or is there anybody else on your team with a different email address that would need access?
Yeah, I think at the service email, service@resurrectingbooks.com.
So it's Michael and service.
Yes.
And then KDP access, I think, Angela, you've done this before. I don't know if there's different levels of access, but I assume that you would need the highest level of access that's in there.
I need editor access, which is like the middle, but it controls almost everything other than payment data.
And then do you need the editor access for both of those email addresses or just your own, just Mikhail?
Just my own. My address serves like as a hub for access to our clients.
Okay. In terms of let's come back to this. Like, when is it going to make sense to meet live again? One idea would be after you've loaded everything up into the account, if there's anything left to discuss or approve before you push the button, that would be one logical way to think about this. It's also possible that you feel that there's not a need to meet live again, before we start spending money. Do you have an initial thought on that?
What do you mean by approving the setup?
Oh, what I mean is you're going to do a bunch of work and then you're going to push a button. When you push the button, we're going to be spending, $100 a day. I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, do you think it makes sense for us to have one more live conversation like this before you start spending the money, or do you think that's not going to be necessary?
That's not going to be necessary. The only thing, not really that we need it, because we can also arrange it afterwards, after you provide this map from our categories research to your heat map, because we can arrange it later. We can create ads first and then put them in specific portfolios. So it's not really like we don't need any other actions from you than giving us access.
Got it. Okay, so in your opinion, there's not going to be a need for us to have another live conversation before you actually launch the account and start spending advertising dollars.
Yes.
Okay, so let's delete that. In terms of if we keep the 450 at 450, do you feel like that includes, is that assuming a 30-minute face-to-face review once a month?
Yes.
Or that is included in the 450?
Yes.
Okay. And do you feel any need to do that more frequently in the first 2 or 3 months? Or do you think that if we just meet monthly, even in the beginning, that will be sufficient?
It depends on how your decision making process looks like. Yeah, because I may be just recommending you some adjustments. Yeah, maybe let's commit more budget or whatever else, and then all I need is your green light through email.
Okay. How about we say this? The live meeting frequency is going to be monthly because that's what we assume in the 450. if it turns out that there's just more to talk about during the first 3 months, then we could add another conversation, and I don't mind, paying for that. But we're going to assume that it's monthly.
Okay.
Now for the budget, I'm comfortable with 3,000 a month. I'm willing to spend more than that. I also wonder, and this is a question back to you, do you which do you think is more likely? You build out the whole account and then you flip the switch on everything, or are you thinking about launching this thing in any type of phases, like phase one, phase two, phase three? If it's the former, I assume just going live at 3,000 a month is fine. If it's the latter, I could imagine you'd want to start with a slightly lower budget and then add budget each month or something like that. So you start at 2,000 and you ramp it to 4,000. And I guess the question is, do you have a point of view on that? It doesn't really matter to me, and I feel like it's fine with me if you make that decision. But the total number I'm looking to spend over 6 months is 18, 20, 21,000, something in that range on the media.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is that clear? Like you can choose to just keep it simple at 3,000 a month or 3,500 a month for 6 months, or you could choose to kind of ramp into it if you prefer.
So it's less about my preference, more about what Amazon will do. What I will do, I will try to switch everything on as soon as possible and see how much Amazon will spend, and I will adjust accordingly.
Okay.
Because it may be that it will spend just 500, and then we need to just brutally increase the bits to spend more because nothing else will work.
Got it. I see. Okay. So assuming that Amazon is not going to constrain the spend, you would rather keep it simple and just spend 3,000 a month for 6 months.
Yes.
Okay. So this next thing is confirm the format offered. When I think you and I first talked about this back in July, I don't understand this like you understand it. My instincts were to focus on the hard copy format because of who my audience is. Then the guys at AAA, they said, no, that's not right. You want to just promote the book, and you don't want to discriminate against Kindle or discriminate against hardcover. You just want to promote the book and let people buy the version that they want. And so I guess I'm just asking you, which of those two do you agree with?
Uh, with theirs, but with some caveat, which is like, there are advantages and disadvantages. Advantages are higher because if we include Kindle in campaigns, we'll get data of customers' use terms for Kindles. If we don't do that, we won't get it. That's one thing. But the disadvantage is that Amazon does what they want. If we allow them Kindle, then we don't have control over how much Kindle they will show, how much hard copy. It's totally up to them.
So what is your recommendation?
My
How do you plan?
recommendation is to include both and maybe pause Kindle, but surely to include both so we have fuller data.
Okay, so you want to launch with both, basically to maximize the data, to get data.
Yes.
But if it turns out that 90% of it is Kindle, you may change your mind in the future.
Yeah, and also if this 90% of Kindle converts worse than paperbacks, for example, yeah, then it makes more sense to really pause the Kindle because the budget will be spent more efficiently on hard
So
copy.
one of the things I've been reading is that the percentage of people that actually read the book they bought is a function of a few it averages about 50% or something, I think. And it's a function of things like the format and the price. So a $30 hardcover book is probably more likely to get read than a $9 Kindle. Okay.
I would blame it more on the format than the price because from the perspective of a Kindle reader, 9.99 is so high end. Like you will commit to read this.
Oh, okay. So I think we've agreed that you're going to launch with both to get data and then monitor the mix of the two, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I do not have a strong point of view on this. My understanding is that what you believe and what I believe is that given that this is a very targeted audience, that the reason that we both were excited about 2 or 3 thousand competitive titles is that we believe that most of the budget should be ASIN budget, correct?
It should be targeting just specific books.
Right. So as you think about launching this, let's say for the first 3 months of the test, do you think it should be 100-0-0? Just launch it with the titles and then add the other stuff in over time? Or would you rather do something that looks a little bit more like this?
I would rather do even different mix. However, you have here keyword percent, but the keywords we will be using are mostly just the titles of the books we are targeting.
Okay, so let me be okay, that's helpful. So I think we need to add another concept. This is helpful. There's two completely different types of keywords. It's keywords that's kind of the titles. Sometimes I think AAA was talking about the authors too.
Yes, they were. I found it not so effective.
Okay, so there's the keywords, the titles, and technically that's considered keyword targeting.
Yes.
But from a business perspective or a logic perspective, it's really ASIN targeting.
Yes.
Okay. And so I think I understand. So maybe it's like this or something. Now keyword this one, what I really meant there was the traditional definition of keywords, where
Yes, I understand. Like book retirement, retirement planning books and so on. Yes, of course.
yeah. Okay. So now that we have clarified that there's apples and oranges here inside of the keyword concept, if you were basically just going to say how you would split the budget up for the first, let's say, 3 months of this test, how would you do it?
Well, let's say it's budget because we'll do it by just volume and it will be this 45% ASINs, 45% titles, then like 8% keywords, and 2% category.
So category is so low, then is
Mm.
there an argument? Is there an argument? Go ahead.
This is just a volume, yeah, because category is like a window to ocean of titles. We just don't know which they are. Amazon will pick them. And
Oh,
so,
so this is not the percentage of the budget.
yes, this is the percentage of the ads we'll create, campaigns.
Okay, but the actual spending would end up looking different.
And it will end up looking like Amazon likes it, not like we like
So
it.
so this is not splitting the budget. You're answering a different question. You're splitting the impressions or you're splitting the number of ads?
Yes, impressions that would be not even that number of ads because uh, from the same number of keyword ads versus ASIN ads, the impressions are totally different. And we
So here,
cannot predict it in advance. We just need to launch them all to see what's
okay.
working.
And so this is why it says initial splits. So basically you can put it in there, but then Amazon is going to decide.
Amen.
Okay. So this is basically initial only, then Amazon decides, right?
Yes.
For this, when we think about you talked about portfolios, campaigns, and ad groups. And I think what you want to do is I think what you're saying is take the heat map, which has 9 topics or 9 broad topics, make each one of those a portfolio?
Yes.
Okay. And where does budget get assigned in Amazon? Is it just at the portfolio level? Is it the campaign level?
Uh, you can assign it both on both levels, but it actually works on the portfolio level. On the campaign level it is like you say you want to spend $50, but Amazon will decide if it's 67 today or 29. But
So,
if
so,
you
so, so, so
when
if I
when
want
you
to keep,
have
if I,
when you
if
have
I
a
want to keep,
budget, sorry,
no, no,
when you
go
have
ahead.
a budget on portfolio, then you say it's 1,000 a month, and you will not cross it. Period.
So do you think it's what I'm hearing is if we had to choose, the better way to think about this is to do the budgets at the portfolio level only.
Yes.
Okay. And so, and so is that something that that Amazon is not going to decide on? In other words, that's something that you decide and you launch it with a certain set of hypotheses, and then you adjust those budgets over time.
Yes.
Okay. So this should really be agreed to the initial dollars per portfolio. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I think, I don't feel like I need to approve this. I think what you're going to do is you're going to look at the heat map where I've been very clear that the closer you get to the center, the more
Budget
perfect
we want. Yeah.
the targeting is. And so you're going to take that and you're going to look at the reality of the number of keywords and this and the size of the demand, and you're going to do an initial crack at the budgeting at the portfolio level that basically respects the heat map, and then you're going to adjust that over time.
Yes.
So I think we can just wipe this away then, right? So I think what we agreed is that we're gonna we're gonna look at the heat map and then adjust over time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's skip the target live date for a second and talk about things that are or are not on the critical path to launching this thing. The first is right now, the live versions of these books do not yet have the CTA at the front. But we are close. We're probably 2 weeks away from that.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is that will be done before you launch. But if it's not done, I don't feel like this has to be a critical path item.
No, it's maybe good
Okay.
for the clarity of data, but
And
it
then
will work anyway.
the next question is, are you comfortable that the keyword research that you've done so far is sufficient to launch, and that if we agree that there are gaps in the heat map, that keyword research can be done in the future?
Yes and yes. And tell me, have AAA team maybe provided some just pure keywords, traditional keywords research for you?
They did a little bit. I can dig out what they did. They did a little bit of keyword research. But no, I'm sorry, they did not do what I should have. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I meant two different things here. Okay. So the first one would be, do we need more title research before we launch?
No.
Okay. Okay. And then the next one is, do we need keyword research in the traditional sense, like not the title sense of keywords, right? It would be the traditional sense.
They are useful.
I'm sorry?
They are useful because we can tap into, huge volume of search terms with just several campaigns. Because the volume is totally different on ISIN versus search terms.
So you're talking about this 8% here. In other words, it would be nice if you had some of those keywords at launch.
Yes.
Okay. And based on all the work you've already done, all the documents we've gone back and forth with, and your own keyword research, do you feel like you can do that? Or is it better for me to take that task?
Yes, we can do that, but it's additional work.
You mean additional beyond the 900?
Yes.
Okay. So more, but that also may slow down the launch of the going live, right?
No, we can split it. Yeah, someone else will take off the creating the environment and creating the ads with what we already have, and some other person can research.
Okay. So I kind of feel like how about I will go first, and then you can look at what I do and decide if you think that's sufficient.
That's great.
Would you like me to publish one keyword list for each of the 9 topics in the heat map? Or do you need it more granular? Because let's talk about this next task for next. So I believe what you said in your email is you want me to take the revised heat map, which has 9 topics or portfolios in it. You then want me to create a mapping that maps each of the 12 text files or something that you produced last time and maps those as against those 9 categories in the heat map.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And there will be some gaps, but then those gaps will be things that we will fill in the future with additional keyword research.
Yes.
Okay. And in some cases, even to launch, it's possible that you'll need to reach into those 12 lists that you did and rearrange things a little bit, like reclassify some of those. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. So this one I assume is definitely critical path.
Yes and no, because as I said, we can just create a bunch of ads and then arrange them later.
So just to be clear, you're saying that that of these two, you understand the difference between these two, right? One is a mapping exercise to the heat map.
Yes.
The other is traditional keyword research.
Yes.
So you're saying the first one is in fact not on the critical path,
No, it's not.
but the next one is.
Again, no, but we just don't have this 8% of the supposed campaigns. Yeah, we'll have 8% less.
How about instead of yes and no, we have yes, no, and prefer.
Yes.
So we have, how about, can we agree that there's no more title research, but we would prefer
Exactly.
the CTA to be there and these things to be there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, adding Be the Bird to the Calendly source list. Angela, did you already do that?
No, not yet.
Okay. So this is basically an attribution requirement, right? And my guess is that that would make sense to do, but Angela, I'm not even sure if it's pretty easy to toss in, right?
Yeah, I'll just have to change the language about the question about shipping Be the Bird to like if you don't already have it. And then I'll also need to update the consult notes template because right now Be the Bird isn't an option listed there. Because I think the reason we originally didn't include it is because we have a separate consult call link for those who read the book, because in the book it sends them to a specific link, so that once they use that specific link is when we decided that the resource was, or their source was Be the Bird. If that makes sense.
Okay, so just so Mikhail understands, there is a call to action at the very end of the book. Right, it's after the last chapter, and it says, hey, if you've enjoyed this book and you want to take the next step and consider hiring us, here's a special, vanity URL that you can click on, and it gives you the opportunity to speak directly with the author instead of just somebody on his team. So the idea of putting it there is to increase the conversion from reader to client, but also get better attribution. But as you said, Mikhail, there are going to be lots of people who read part of the book and don't get to that point, or they forget about that point. So they're just going to use the generic booking link. And we have to do the best job we can on attribution. Otherwise, we're not going to know if this campaign's working.
Exactly.
So we have to pull out all the attribution stops we can, and that's why this is on the list. But so you're good with this being on the list, Angela. It's just a question of how important is this versus everything else you're doing.
Yeah.
I would say that this is a prefer as well. And now let me ask you a question about your scope of services, Mikhail. Clearly, you understand how to do keyword research and title research and organize an account and manage account. What about the copywriting side of this? Like, do you and your team write really effective ads? Can you and your team look at the description that we have and give us feedback on whether it's a high converting description or a low converting description? Like where does your expertise stop?
So actually, it's part of my expertise because efficiency of ads depends on how book page convert, and the book description is the most important piece of it. So I always advise something before we start the project, and then we can always measure
Optimize
measure our.
So let me tell. So we have a book description. I do not believe that it is extremely good. However, Veronica, she's the consultant, the self-publishing the consultant that's been helping us process some edits to the book, and she helped with the CTA at the beginning. I've given her some description rewrites that I did and that AAA did. So she now has the description, but she has not yet come back with her edits or improvements. So I guess the question is, should we view this as a critical path activity, or should we say prefer on this one as well?
Prefer.
Okay. And then obviously, so in terms of approving the account setup, it sounds like you do not believe that that needs a meeting. Do you think that it's something that I should approve, like once the thing is set up, or do you feel like, you already have, you will end up between this and the other document and the things that I will do for you in terms of mapping and keywords, that there's not going to be any approval needed before you go live?
Yeah, it's clear what we need to do, and we know the constraints of the budget, so nothing else is needed.
Okay, so basically we're not going to need to approve the thing. Okay. And then what I did here was I just listened, I read your email, I massaged this a little bit, then I brought in this dimension of scalability, because it's possible that we're going to end up with something like B, where the good news is the unit economics are actually very good. I'm only paying 900 per client. The bad news is you can't profitably increase the budget beyond 3,000. Right? So I'm bringing in two dimensions here. This dimension of how scalable is this? How much can we end up spending is one dimension. The other dimension is how strong are the unit economics. And for the unit economics, I revised these based on your email. Right? So I did $1.20, $1.10, 5%, 6%. So if it's $1.10 at 6%, the reader is $18. But if we can convert 2% of those, that's only 900. That would be great. But ideally, we have good unit economics and you can actually ramp the spending.
I understand this picture. And again, it's a lot dependent on what Amazon will do. That's one. And then it may be that the scaling will involve workload. And so we need 3 times more targets.
In other words, if we end up, right, so what I've done here is I had the monthly service, whoops, the monthly service is 450, but then there's this idea of extra keyword research every month. And so it could be that to scale this, it could be that the 450 goes up. It could be that there's a lot more keyword research that has to happen. So that, I mean, that all makes sense to me. Okay. I'm not worried about that. I think I'm more worried about, does this channel have the potential to be an interesting source for us, or is it going to be a small source, right? And we don't know that yet. But one thing that the guys at AAA were saying is that they were saying that for lead gen offers, which is what this is, they typically are not able to scale those past $5,000 or $10,000 a month. For offers where it's to get readers, they've got some of those at $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month. So that was what they said, but I don't know how much to believe that. When you see something like this, do you think there's a chance that we can scale this past 5 or 10 grand a month? Or is that a lot of money to be spending on Amazon for something for this type of book?
I guess it's a lot of money. I don't have so much experience as AAA when it comes to lead generation. Well, the scale is different. Yeah, I'm just a boutique comparing to them. They have big names, authors, and more budget and so on. But I can tell you from my experience, I have now a client who they just scaled up their budget from 3,000 a month to 8,000 a month, and we cannot spend it like yet. So it's not that easy, and they have 3 books, and a lot depends on Amazon preferences. For those 3 books, 90% of the traffic goes to book number 1, 9% to book number 2, and 1% to book number 3, and it's really hard to tell which is which before we start the ads. So I guess after running the ads for a month, I can tell you much more about the future.
Let me ask you one more related question. It turns out that we really can convert 2% of the readers. That sounds extremely good to me. Okay. If we could do 2%, then you can take this price, you can take that up to like $1.70. If you take that up to $1.70, does that mean that you're going to get a lot more clicks if you move from $1.10 to $1.70, or not that many more clicks?
Yes, it works that way. 60 cents in this case would give us maybe not even doubling the traffic.
So you're saying you think if we went from $1.10 to $1.70, you think the clicks that we could get at least double the traffic?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess that's what we are hoping for. We're hoping that this number is real, because if this number is real, then you can go out and you can really increase this number significantly. And that might be the only way to actually scale this past $3,000 or $4,000.
I don't know if the only, but for sure it's the quickest way. Like we'll turn on the switch, and next day, maybe next week, the traffic will be doubled. Period. When you give it, when it already is, I mean, the ads are already spending at certain level, and then you increase the bits, they are just exploding.
Okay. So for this stuff, just to confirm, for the keywords, if I do this at the portfolio level, meaning I've got 9 topics, if I do it there, that's okay? Or do you want it done at the portfolio level, the topic level, and the subtopic level?
The more granular, the better, but at the portfolio level, that's enough.
Okay. So subtopics ideally. And then for mapping the keyword research into topic heat map, I think all it sounds like that is I make a list of my 9 heat map portfolios. I take the 12 text files that you created, and I try to force a mapping.
Exactly.
And if it's a text file where it doesn't map perfectly, I will make a comment about that.
All right.
Is that a deal?
Yes.
Okay. Angela, do you have anything else you want to say or ask about the stuff included here?
And so one, I did just go ahead and add Be the Bird to the Calendly link. I'm just doing the other edits as far as the other where can we mail you question I still have to do, but it's on the pick list now. I also edited the consult notes template doc to include it in the pick list there. So we should be good there. And then I sent you and your team, Michael, the invite to our box folder that Brad referenced up here that has the files that we're looking at here as well as some additional files. So you just have to accept that. And then lastly, as far as KDP access is concerned, I do not believe we're allowed to add more than one user. So I basically have to grant you or share our existing login credentials. So I will then have to share with you the 2-factor authentication password. So let me know when you try logging into that. So I will be ready to share.
Well, it sounds like Mikhail, you were shaking your head. Do you think we can invite you separately?
Yes, you should, because it's the
Is
construction
this
is you.
if you have a few more minutes, is this something
I can guide you.
So Angela, how about I stop sharing and then you guys try to actually just take care of this right now?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. Where should I go? Is it from KDP or is it from the author page?
Both are right. Show me what's on your bookshelf. Just the Kindle. So if you give me access through the author profile, I will have access also to the hard copy. So let's start from that. Okay, reports and marketing. And on the right, you have Amazon advertising. Go to Ads Console. Okay, and you are in. On the left bottom, you have a cogwheel with options. Yes, administration, account access and settings. And you invite user.
Okay. And this was
Michal at Resurrecting, yes.
Is your last. And just the editor, you said.
Exactly. You don't need any other countries, do you?
You said I don't need the other countries?
Will you run ads in other countries?
No.
Yeah, so unclick everything. Less is better.
Okay.
And click the invite user, and I should get the invitation within a minute.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you for that. I wonder if KDP then has different rules than the author page. 'Cause when I looked up
Yeah.
KDP, it was
So
saying,
if you
but
go to KDP, all you can advertise from that account is what is under the bookshelf. All you can advertise from the author is what is connected to the author. So you connected all the versions, all the formats, so we can advertise them all.
okay, that makes sense. Okay, thank you for that. So you should
Okay.
have everything you need from me now, but let me know if there's anything else that you come across as far
Yeah,
as.
I see the box invitation. I see the ads account invitation. I will
Perfect.
accept them very soon.
Awesome.
Last thing, do you have any benchmarks for us, like that vanity URL in the description? I asked ChatGPT about that, and they
Mhm.
said that they came back as like 1 to 3% conversion from the description page over to the to the vanity URL, which seems believable to me. That would be very low, but they said the stronger the offer, like if you make it, the one I like is in a bonus chapter where the only way you can get it is from that description.
Mhm.
So maybe we could target 3% long term or something. Does that sound right to you? Do you have any data for me that
Zero
one?
data.
Okay. And then the other place that's interesting is the CTA at the beginning of the book, which is a full page with a QR code that basically says, "Thanks for buying the book. This is a special bonus just to book buyers, free access to the course, and then all of our reports and blah 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 blah." Do you have any data for me on the uptake rate or the conversion rate of a call to action that's at the beginning of the book where there's no financial commitment, but you actually do have to go to the URL and put your name and email address in?
I don't have any data. The difference between the beginning and the end of the book CTA will be just commitment of the person. Readers who actually read the book, they feel like already knew you, and
Oh,
they are much more committed.
clearly, they're completely different
Yeah.
ideas. The one at the end is somebody that's already read it and where we want to book a call. The one at the beginning, we're doing for two completely different reasons, which is improve attribution, because
Mhm.
Amazon doesn't tell us who these people are.
Yes. Yes.
So we want to improve attribution, and because people only 50% of people read these books in the first place, we can improve attribution. We can also nudge people to read the book or ask them how they're enjoying it and try to create a dialogue with me. Right. So those two CTAs are apples and oranges in terms of why they're in there. I'm just trying to ask you if you have any actual data
No, I
on.
don't have any data. I don't believe 1% is actually for vanity, and at the beginning of the book is that high, because
Oh, I think the one at the beginning of the book is going to be a lot higher than one. I think that could be 5 or 10 because these are people that bought the book.
yeah,
But
but they also
but
need to understand the value proposition, and at the very beginning they are just after making a decision to purchase, they have no clue that all those courses and so on will do them any good. So we'll see. That's why I love advertising, because data will tell us what's going on.
sure, but it's what's better, what's more even better than data having is some type of benchmarks so that you know kind of what's achievable. Because so let's say you get 2%, we find out that it's 2%. Okay. I- if it's just 2%, but we have no idea if that's good or bad. Like it's data plus benchmarks.
Mhm. I don't have those benchmarks.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know somebody that does?
Nope.
Yeah.
Amazon is big black box, and uh, I don't
Well,
know
I
those
put it this way.
wizards.
Put it this way. There's got to be people using books the way I'm trying to use it,
Hmm.
where it's a lead gen offer for a high ticket back end service,
Yes.
where attribution and multiple micro conversions and all of that stuff all have to be working in concert with each other to make for the program to scale. So there must be marketers out there that are doing this stuff and talking to each other and comparing notes.
Yes.
This isn't about Amazon as a black box. This is about a community of book marketers that are sharing insights with each other. So my guess is there are people in the world that know these answers. The question is, how do I find them?
One, they know the answers for their books, but that may be good enough. Yeah. And then two, I am already in a few Facebook groups where I can ask those questions, but 90% of them consist of fiction authors.
Yeah. So we're talking, right? We're talking about we're talking about a different group. We're talking about of people who have a high ticket service that they're trying to sell, where they might lose $20 on every book, but they're doing it to sell a high-end service. So these are real conversion marketers. And people that write fiction typically are not conversion marketers, right? So, right.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that's why
Yeah.
I mentioned they are 90% of them are fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and AAA may have some metrics.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, this is great. Oh, and then in terms of the last thing that I didn't ask you about is given everything that we've covered today and assuming I can do my part this week on the mapping and the keywords, when do you want to launch this thing? And just make a prediction. If it turns out that it doesn't happen, that's okay. But what are you thinking?
I want to start cranking first ads next Monday.
This coming Monday, you want to go live?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that $900 setup, that's something that you and your team have the time to do over the next week.
Setup is setup. So it's like I included also my time this process. And part of it, like, because you are paying in the advance, yeah? So part of it can be done. The setup is creating ads mostly. Yeah. So we already have the material, thousands of keywords and asins. Now we need to just convert it into running campaigns on Amazon, which will take some time.
That's exciting. Okay, that's exciting. Okay, awesome. So it could be as early as next Monday, but the worst case would probably be the Monday after that. And but part of it is just how quickly I can do the mapping for you so that you can kind of get the structure correct.
Exactly.
And so in terms of what I owe you, would you rather get the mapping first or the keywords first?
Keywords.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Mikhail, for I think we used almost 4 15-minute meetings.
Yes, we did.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, take care.
Let's stay in touch. Bye-bye.